I felt like I had been given a second chance because the doctors thought I was never going to be able to return to school again.
Hello, and welcome back to the Voice for You podcast, where we empower the leaders of today and tomorrow. I'm your host, Jeshwant Vana. Today, I'm joined by a young leader in our community. She is the true definition of a comeback story. After suffering a brain injury that left her without memory for 9 months, she found the passion for helping others. She is the founder of an environmental nonprofit, helping build 50 plus beds for fresh produce for low-income individuals. She is no threat to youth leadership as well, as she is the founder of her junior advisory board in her town, earning her the Mayor's Award. Her work has definitely not gone unnoticed, as she was named a 2025 Coca-Cola Scholar. Leading her path through the way of the earth, she is Miss Rose Downey. How are you doing today, Rose?
Good. Thank you for that amazing introduction. How are you?
I'm doing well myself. Thank you for asking. It is sunny outside. It's currently 6, so with the summer, it's not going to go down until like 8:30, which is nice. It is very nice.
Yes, definitely.
Definitely. As you are from Florida, you definitely have a very nice bond with the sun because
Yes, I'm actually outside right now. I needed the fresh air and the sun on my face.
definitely the sun. Would you say you're more of a summer person or winter person?
Summer for sure.
Summer. See, I don't know what I say I would be because I like the summer vibes, but most of my major holidays, like my birthday, all the breaks and stuff happen during winter. So, and also I'm not against snow. Snow is nice every now and then. It's not snowing every day because then that closes down a bunch of streets and we need to transport to places.
Yeah, we don't really have too much snow here, and just summer sunsets are always beautiful, and my birthday's in the summer. And it's just when I get to travel and be more connected with nature because it's not too cold outside. So
Yeah.
definitely summer.
Definitely. I understand that, definitely. But before we get into the interview, let me know a little bit more about yourself, your hobbies, your passions, and who you are as a person.
A little bit about myself. I was born and raised in Georgia, right outside of Atlanta, and I moved here when I was about 8 years old, transferring into kindergarten. Hobbies, passions. My biggest passion is definitely for environmental justice and just working with the environment and trying to combat climate change and just all the different environmental things happening around us. For hobbies, I love art. Art is definitely my biggest hobby. I used to be really into sports. I played volleyball for about 13 years, and then after my injury, had to quit a little bit. But I definitely love going to the gym, cooking, cleaning, hanging with my friends, listening to music, really just anything that can get me outside, helping people, getting to hear people's stories, connecting with others, all that kind of stuff.
Definitely. No, I especially relate to the getting to hear people's stories, as a podcaster, getting to people's stories is definitely something that is nice to hear. Not one person is the same from the other person, so those stories are
Exactly.
definitely those stories are definitely nice to hear. And the outdoors, especially during summertime, especially now, nice. They're super nice, especially since you are from Florida. The outdoors is a big thing down there. I know that for sure because the sun's always out, but
Exactly.
definitely. But before I get into my interview with the hard-hitting questions, I usually like to start off with a simple, icebreaker question to get to know you more as a person. So, if you could describe yourself as any road trip snack, what would it be and why?
Probably something like trail mix, just because there's a lot of different parts that combat it. You could have its individual parts, and if you eat them alone, they still taste really well. And if you eat them all together, it still tastes really well. There's a lot of different contrasting parts that you would think wouldn't go together, but do and kind of blend out to be one nice little snack.
Is there a piece of the trail mix that you like the best?
Probably M&Ms. Oh, I have a really bad sweet tooth.
No, I have a sweet tooth. It's ironic because I am Indian, but I do have a sweet tooth myself. The only thing that was against my sweet tooth was as a kid I wasn't a big fan of chocolate. So, but other than that, gummies, I'm still a sucker for gummies. I'll take gummies any day of the week. You just hand me a gummy, that bag's gonna be gone in 10 minutes. Yeah.
I feel you 100%.
Yeah, that gummies are good. Like Skittles, I'm a big Skittles guy. My favorite candy is Sour Patch, but I will eat candy. I do have a sweet tooth, so I definitely see where you're coming from there. But for my favorite trail mix, I'm usually like the pretzels or what go the best for me. I'm not a big fan of those like the brown like chip looking things. I don't know what they're called.
Uh, yeah, the like the dried meat. Yeah, I know what you
Yeah.
mean.
Wait, that's meat? I did not even know that. Okay, well, learn something new every day.
I think so. I think that's what you're talking about. Maybe not.
Definitely, because like I don't think because like I can't eat like beef and pork. So if it was dried up meat, then it's probably beef jerky. I don't know. Maybe I'll look at it. I'll probably look at it afterwards. That's gonna
Yeah,
make
I know. I'm not sure.
yeah, definitely, definitely. But as a senior that has graduated, first off, congrats on graduating high school.
Thank you.
It
Thank you so
is
much.
it is a big feat. It's bigger than a lot of people think. But as a senior that has graduated, what school have you committed to, and what about that school attracted you to commit there?
So I have committed to Duke University in North Carolina. And what attracted me to that school was its balance. It has a really good academic scene, and it had exactly what I was looking for my major, which is environmental policy and pre-law. So they have the Nichols School of Environment, and they had like 4,000 acres of research forest, their marine lab, and just the actual environmental policy major itself. So they had a lot of things that catered towards my interests. And their office of sustainability really interests me because their exact message was what I was trying to do, which is combat climate change and just kind of work towards integrating people and nature and people. And they have a great social aspect. A lot of the people, they're not overly competitive. They more want you to succeed and just have really great personalities from what I've heard. Because a lot of people that I asked about, like, what's your favorite thing at Duke? Everybody said the people, which wasn't really what I was expecting. But just hearing that people want you to like push yourself and become your best self, but not just out compete you. Because I feel like a lot of what I've seen at Ivies are more like everybody's kind of cutthroat, and I didn't really want that. And then I still have access to sports and great basketball and Greek life, great food, beautiful campus, the Gothic architecture, because obviously being outside is really important to me, and the gardens, and just being in North Carolina has a lot of just a great state about it as well, because I've never lived in that state and I wanted to be somewhere new. And it has seasons. It's north, but not too far north, coming from someone who's from Florida. So it just kind of had the best balance of everything for me there, and love the color blue. So had to go.
Definitely, definitely. Ironically, I am a rising senior myself, and I have been I
Yes.
have been a
Yes.
big Duke guy ever since basically my whole childhood. That's been my dream school since like fifth or sixth grade. I
Come
definitely
join.
see everything that you have just stated. I'm a big Duke basketball guy. Cooper Flag, Jason Tatum, Zion Williamson, R.J. Barrett. Those guys. We can even go back to like J.J. Redick too. Duke basketball is something I've been following for a long time too. Every year for NCAA, I always have Duke winning it because I've been a big Duke guy for a long, long time. So
Yeah, that's what I find with like a lot of people who are interested in Duke, is it's been like their dream school their whole life. Personally, it wasn't really like that for me. I grew up a couple doors down from a Duke alum, so I really learned everything from her. But I never wanted to have a dream school because I never wanted to be let down. Like, I didn't want decision day to come, I don't get in, and I feel like my whole life's purpose, was gone out the window. I just wanted to do everything possible to help get me where I wanted to go, and I didn't really think about Duke until about 2 months before I made my early decision and applied. Originally, I was definitely attracted to Penn State throughout my whole life because it had like the similar balance, but I realized that I wanted a higher academic rigor, and that Duke was the place for me after my first tour for sure.
definitely. That is the one school. Like I have no idea where else I'm gonna apply, but the one school I am 100% sure I'm applying to, as in breach schools, is Duke University because of how big.
Good.
And
You
obviously,
should.
yeah, and obviously, like you said, to keep an open eye too, just in case you don't, so you don't get let down. That's what a lot of people have been telling me. Myself, that
Exactly.
it's nice to have a dream school, but you don't want the craziest stuff to happen because then you might get let down and you feel like just the only thing I know is that I'm applying to Duke and I'm not applying to UNC. That's all I know.
good. I actually did apply to both. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
lie,
that's what a lot of
but
people do. Maybe I'll apply to UNC because I've also been thinking like pre-med, but I don't know. I'm just have to get like I'm gonna have to talk to the Duke mate and then figure that out for sure.
yeah,
Definitely,
definitely.
definitely. But hopefully, fingers crossed. I join you next.
Yes, hopefully. And if you need any advice while I'm up there, I'll let you know how it's going.
Definitely, definitely. So obviously, to get into Duke University, you have to have some crazy extracurriculars and have a passion for what you have done, which is obviously, with everything you have done, it's very evident. But before all of this, you did have a brain injury which left you without memory for 9 months. So how did this experience, shape you as a person and inspire you to help others?
So, after my injury, I got it from playing volleyball, and at the time, volleyball was pretty much my life, so I didn't have a whole lot of time to volunteer. Like, I still volunteered as much as I could because my mom is someone who's like always out in the community and doing everything, so I kind of just tagged along with her, and I never really did things on my own. And after I lost my memory and had to quit my sport, I felt really lost because it was like I lost a piece of me because volleyball, it gave me my family and it felt like it gave me my purpose. And after that, I kind of just learned the value of taking in every moment. And I felt like I had been given a second chance because the doctors thought I was never going to be able to return to school again. And they thought I was never going to get my memory back again. And they still don't really know how it all came back and everything, but I was just very grateful that it did. And it made me realize that I wanted to help others with my second chance just because I was given the resources to come back from things. So I knew that I wanted to start helping others as well. Or not start, but like get further deep into helping others and really try and make an impact in my community with my second chance. Because a lot of things that I see since I live in Florida is hurricane disasters. And growing up, I was always super connected to the environment. I was always the little kid outdoors, running through the woods, dirt in my fingers, everything. And just seeing or learning in school that our hurricanes are becoming worse due to climate change and just all the other science behind it. And then seeing people that I know have their houses completely flooded and their whole entire lives destroyed and uprooted from them just was kind of heartbreaking to me. So I started out by creating a hurricane relief group to help those in my community who didn't have the resources to get back on their feet. So all of us who did have the resources to get back on our feet could kind of come together and help them, creating a sense of community with them, and then also creating a sense of community with us who are helping. Because you just when I volunteer, I feel good. I feel like I'm doing good things. I don't I don't want money from it. It's not a job. It's nothing like that. I feel happy. It feels like my life has a purpose, and that's kind of where I was coming from after I got my second chance. I was like, okay, this is not something that I'm gonna waste. I have to take every moment that I can. I'm gonna start young, gonna start early, and just try and help as many people as I can, even if it's not like a global reach, like these multinational nonprofits. I don't need that. I just need nice personal connections with people to let them know that, the environment it's called a natural disaster, but like, don't be scared of the environment. Like, we're all kind of interconnected, and I know just kind of during scary times, we just kind of all need each other, if that makes sense.
Definitely, definitely. No, like you heard, it's very common nowadays. At least once a year, Florida does get hit by some sort of hurricane. I remember last year it was Hurricane Milton that hit Florida. It's very common down there, which is also what scares a lot of people. But Florida is a very, very beautiful place to live. It's very nice. Right next to the beach. It's just, hurricanes are scary. Definitely, they are considered the most dangerous, natural disasters. And the fact that you are able to, see that in your community, and first off, with a miracle, you know, a, a lot of people don't come back from stuff like that, and the fact that you did come back, but not only did you come back, but also decided to help, make a change in your own community to help others is truly, truly inspiring. So definitely,
Thank you.
would you elaborate more on, like the hurricane like relief? Was that like a team that you created? Was that a solo project?
Yeah, for sure. So my mom, she's a mortgage lender, and someone from her, I don't know if she was getting a mortgage for them or just friends, someone that she was interconnected with had lost everything. And you see on the TV, like, people being in flood zones and had to get helicoptered out, but that was happening like right down my street. And these were people that I knew. And I kind of knew that they were all great people and people that needed help. And I knew people who, had minor flooding and didn't have to do too many restorations. And we had lost power for maybe 2 weeks. So there was really nothing else anybody could do. We were all just kind of sitting around. You couldn't go anywhere. The roads were flooded. So I just started, I think I was in student government at the time, and I just texted our little student government group chat, and I was like, hey, if anyone's not doing anything, can you guys come help me clean this person's house? And I thought it was going to be something super simple. But when we got there was about 6 feet of watermarks that had been left. All the water had been dried out by now, but anything that was under 6 feet was completely ruined. We had to get all the furniture out of their houses, and this was happening down the whole street. So we ended up getting a lot more people, basically anyone we could find, just posting on Instagram, Facebook, hey, if anyone can come help, adult, kid, anybody, all hands on deck. And so all of their stuff had to be taken to the curb because it was underwater for maybe about a week. So it's all trash, all their personal belongings, everything was gone. And it was a low income area, which is why it was a flood zone. So they didn't have money to just uproot and buy a new house or insurance. They would cover everything. So we went to Home Depot and asked one of the guys if they could teach us how to be a contractor. I think this was my sophomore year. And so they came and they taught a whole bunch of us how to take out the drywall. So we learned how to take out the drywall, replace with new drywall so that mold wouldn't grow everywhere. We tried to get as many donations as possible, furniture, clothing, really anything. I don't have smell personally, but everyone said that the smells were awful because it was sewage water as well that was coming in their house. There were dead animals everywhere from the hurricane. They had lost their dog, actually. It was horrible. And just a family who had already mentally suffering so much couldn't go through the physicalities and they had old people around them as well. So we were just cleaning debris, set up the yards, really anything that we could do. So it started out somewhat as a personal, just kind of goal, hey, I want to help these people. I don't have anything else I need to be doing. Let's try and help in the community. Then it just kind of grew. It was not a specific organization name labeled, anything like that. We haven't done anything since. It was basically just organizing our community together to help those who need it.
Well, that it is grateful that y'all haven't been able to do extra work, because if y'all did extra work, that means another hurricane hit, and we don't want that at all, ever. No, we don't want that. So
Exactly.
So it is grateful that we all haven't had to, but the fact that, especially with student government and leaders, that is what student government is for. It's to empower leaders, especially in the high school scene. And the fact that y'all became literal carpenters. Y'all learned the mastery of carpentry, which is not an easy task. It really isn't. You have to have grit. You have to have patience too, a lot of patience to do anything in the field of carpentry, whether it's building a bird box. I've never built a bird box, but I know it takes a decent amount of time.
Yeah, it was definitely not easy, but it gave us all skills that we can move on to other things, and it created connections with not just the people helping, but the people that we helped as well, and kind of just restored faith back in them. At least I would like to think it did.
Definitely. I personally, from what you have just said, I believe that would have restored faith. But carpentry is something that a lot of people can't master. But you and your team were able to do it again, with a new environmental nonprofit, building over 50 garden beds for low-income individuals. So where did you get this inspiration to start this initiative to build these beds?
So I wasn't the one who initially started it. It was one of my friends. She's off at Dartmouth doing environmental stuff and economics major as well. She started it with her friend, and they both kind of come from their major green thumbs, environmental activists. And one of them lived near a low income area and would just drive through every day and kind of see just how that sort of lifestyle affects an individual. And so they wanted to get a group together, and they asked me to join and a couple others to just kind of start. And we started off really small at this domestic abuse shelter with just a little tiny community garden. We couldn't really have any other volunteers due to the safety restrictions at the domestic abuse center and for the confidentiality of the individuals, of the residents there, because at all of our gardens, the residents at our locations are the ones who garden. We come in, we build the gardens, we help maintain it, replant, all of that sort of stuff. But on a day-to-day watering and weeding, it is all of the residents, because that kind of helps them that gives purpose to them. And then all of that healthy produce goes right back to their kitchen, because a lot of them don't have access to fresh, healthy produce. And we all kind of had the conjoined thought that you never should put a price on healthy eating, and a lot of people don't have the time to garden or don't have the green thumb and don't like to garden just because like they just don't have that connection with nature. So these garden beds allowed us to give a sense of purpose to the individuals through nature, which is kind of all of our big like message that we always want to reiterate. And then as well as them eating healthy and just, I don't know, just kind of seeing like a light get restored in their eyes when they see the little seed turn into a beautiful eggplant or whatever they're growing. And it just kind of, it gives purpose to a lot of people who don't have their own individual stuff. So we started out small with just a couple, 4 garden beds, and then we got more volunteers, we got more supplies, and it's been like a 4-year thing now. We're completely grant funded, so we got grants through the community, and then we were able to grow it to 3 more locations, hopefully a 5th soon. And yeah, that's kind of how it all started. But I would definitely not take really credit for the idea. It was totally someone else.
Definitely, definitely. I mean, even if you don't start the idea, someone that keeps it going can still be a leader. Definitely. And, like you mentioned, y'all, they did grow eggplants. But what are some other produce that y'all have grown a part of?
So at our different setters, it all kind of depends on each, but we grow a lot of collards, lettuce heads, beans, peppers, tomatoes. Some of them, like at our recreational center, we grow flowers just like for the aesthetic value because there's a lot of kids around there. But tomatoes are kind of like iffy because we have a lot of issues with mealybugs at a lot of our different locations. So those are a little rough, but collards always do really well. So I think those are at every single garden that we have.
Are mealybugs like bugs that specifically eat tomatoes or something, or?
They're not specifically for tomatoes. They're just normally most commonly found on tomatoes. And then we can, but we don't spray any pesticides on anything just because we don't really believe in that kind of stuff. And especially if it's being eaten directly by the residents, we would never want to put any chemicals. So sometimes we put a couple of things on there to like help them that are natural, but it doesn't always work the best way we want it to.
Pesticides are not the way to go, especially if you're feeding income individuals, and they can see these pesticides is also, that's a big argument point when it comes to environmental law and farming, especially in the farming scene. I'm a big Indian movie watcher, and whenever it has to do with farming, it's always something about the pesticides. Like pesticides, not even just India, here too, pesticides are a big problem, with DDT that did almost kill the bald eagle population, and that was a pesticide itself. So it can definitely be a massive problem for sure.
Yeah, I wish they kind of did more like what they did after hearing Rachel Carson's silent spring and all the different effects of DDT, and then that getting banned, which was really good. But there's definitely a couple other ones that need to make that list as well. It won't.
100%. Have you read Silent Spring by Rachel Carson?
I have. I read it 3 years ago, and it's sitting on my desk for me to read again this summer. I'm finishing the Ishmael series right now with the story of Bee, and then I'm gonna get to Silent Spring.
Okay, when you said Ishmael, I was thinking Moby Dick for a sec, but yeah, I watched a brain pop on Rachel Carson, but I've never read any of her work. I know her, and then like Jim, I forgot what his last name was, but big environmentalist, which is what we need to keep the environment, healthy and, growing. But circling back to the beds, do you and your team go, how often do y'all go and, water these beds and make sure that they're tenured?
So it kind of depends. Some of us are not in our state anymore. Like a couple are off at college, so they kind of help virtually. I kind of do more like behind the scenes stuff, less hands on, because like it may sound like I have a green thumb, but I really don't. Like I'm not good with the gardening stuff at all, which I know it may sound really hypocritical, but it's just the truth. So we try and kind of rotate out individuals throughout the week just to check on and weed. And then when we have larger planting days or weeding days, it's maybe once a month. Sometimes we do crop rotation where we rotate the crops throughout the bed to give them the best like growing situations. And that's when we kind of invite our other volunteers that aren't necessarily with our organization. We just maybe post something on our Instagram or contact people who have said that they're interested in helping and just say, hey, if you want to come out, by all means, because it's simple stuff that you don't have to have a green thumb to do. But we try and harvest about once a week and get out there as much as we can. A lot of our systems are timer operated, so we don't have to hand water, or the residents are out there hand watering if it's needed. But other than that, it's kind of like just on a need basis per garden.
Definitely. Not all gardens, especially depending on the produce, not all gardens need to be tenured the same as the next, because some plants like to grow better in certain situations than other ones, and those other ones might need more tenure, like you said, and then the other ones, like the more free ones, are don't, but definitely.
Exactly. It also kind of depends on location based on how much the residents are involved. Like at some of our homeless shelters, the individuals don't have the same capability of harvesting and gardening every single week, whereas some of our other locations, the individuals have access to be able to be out there whenever they want, or a recreational center, we're the only ones who go out there. I mean, some of the helpers and staff go out there and tend a little bit, but there are no residents per se going out there to help every week, so it's more reliant on us based on the capability of the residents.
Definitely. Yeah, for sure. But, not only are you a member of your environmental, growing these garden beds, but you also have a goal of empowering youth leadership you have founded your town's junior advisory board and was presented with the mayor's award for your work. So how were you able to create such a large organization in your area?
So it's called Port Orange Community Trust in our area because I live near the town of Port Orange, and it is kind of an organization who like just kind of plans all town events like the carnivals, the festivals, the parades, just kind of things that bring tradition to our community. They are also solely volunteer based, so they also give back financially to different organizations in our town that need it. And I've been volunteering with them since I was in elementary school because my mom was always super involved on the board. And as I started to grow older, I started to realize that youth is a big part of the target audience, but it's a lot of their events are what adults think youth like, but not actually what youth like. So I started to realize that we're so represented in the community, but not necessarily on the board and the ones planning the events. So I asked if I could start a junior advisory board. There's just like right now about 8 of us, all ranging throughout high school, just to help give our inputs on events to what we think youth would like in our community. And it also gives a sense of the people who are on the board exactly what a leadership role kind of looks like, because they run their things a lot more traditionally than like different clubs do in our schools. Like they have a full secretary who types things up, a treasurer, like a lot of different parts going into things to create a whole, but it's very professional but not overly professional. So just kind of giving the behind the scenes looks to different youth to help them gain their leadership feet, if that makes sense. And it just kind of allows us to put our voices back into our community if it's not a big deal and it's just saying, hey, I think they would like this performer over that performer. Like it's not really making a huge impact per se for helping others or anything like that. Kind of just allowing the board to put their voice back into what's being put out for the entire community.
Definitely. And obviously for your work on the Junior Advisory Board, you were awarded the Mayor's Award. So was that because of like one singular event, or was it just because of the work you've done throughout the year?
Yeah, it was kind of more the time commitment that I had put into it since I started volunteering throughout elementary school and then grew my role like personally and wasn't said like, hey, start a board. It was kind of more my own initiative. It was not like a giant presentation or anything like that. It was kind of just like a behind the scenes thing. And the mayor is always super involved with this board because he's at a lot of the events that they do, like homeowners for or home openers for the baseball games or just a lot of different community stuff that the mayor gets involved in. So he was just starting to see this firsthand impact, and that's where the award got started. I'm not really sure if it's like a continual award that they do for different youth. I'd never really heard about it before, and it was just kind of presented with it, so I wasn't sure if it was just kind of like a random title they put to it or what, but I was definitely very honored to receive it.
I mean, award, at the end of the day, an award is an award, you know. So, I mean, might as well just take it with, as much honor as possible. And, you are very passionate about the environment as well. So, have you ever thought about bringing, the work that you've done with, like, say, your environmental nonprofit and, the work that you did with the hurricane relief and ever try tying it into the advisory board and, presenting these ideas to the adults of the board?
Yeah, we definitely have before, and I've talked to a couple of the board members, not really necessarily with the entire board, but just talked to a couple things about making the events more environmentally friendly. Just because these are events do create a lot of waste, and they definitely feed into consumer culture very heavily because the specific events sometimes have the business partners that line up and they give out their tiny little objects that kids take and then they get home and they just kind of throw it away right away. And I get that businesses are trying to promote their business, and I'm all for that, of course, but there's a lot of different things that tie in, or because the center that they normally use for most events are outside because it's a lakeside center. um I definitely see the water sometimes getting polluted just by little kids throwing trash in or just by so much trash being around. So I've definitely talked to them about different ways we can make the specific events more environmentally friendly. And they did our I kind of tied both of them together because the other organization that I'm a part of, which is called Volusia Gaming Gardens, the garden one, our recreational garden is located right next to the headquarters for this junior advisory board, and they helped fund that recreational garden, and they've continued to help fund it, and so those are kind of interconnected. So that allowed us to, because we also have signs at the recreational center that kind of tells a little bit about what we do, and gardening tips, what's in season, what to grow, what not to grow, and just kind of raising environmental awareness throughout the community. So I guess that's another way everything kind of got tied together, but I wouldn't say necessarily with the actual junior advisory board I've tried to bring environmental stuff to them. I probably should though.
Definitely, definitely. I mean, you do have 1 or 2 months before you're off for Duke, so you could always, especially speaking of environment, like summertime too. The environment is best worked during now because when it hits wintertime and it's cold, no one's stepping outside. Like, unless you're a fan of the cold, then who knows? Maybe you do.
Yeah, it's almost sometimes it's the opposite here because it gets too hot to do anything outside.
That's also
And
true.
then,
That
yeah,
is true.
sometimes it can be rough when as soon as it gets over 100 and you step outside and just soaked in heat, everyone's kind of like, I don't know, I'm gonna stay in my air conditioning, thanks.
Definitely, definitely. I do forget about because here in like Memphis, the thing is, the weather, it's either like super nice, it's like low-key bipolar, I'll be so honest. Because it's either like super duper cold, super duper hot, or like just right. Like it's just right during like springtime and like May and early June. Once it hits like late June, July, that's when the sun comes to play. Like,
Yeah, we have the same thing here, except not with temperature variation, more of the rain variation. It'll be constantly pouring for a couple weeks, and then it's just thunderstorm after thunderstorm, and then it will be basically in a drought, and then it's like 100 degrees, and everyone's just dying. So you're either getting poured on or dying of heat, pretty much.
exact. Well, yeah. Here too, like I can never guess the rain patterns either. I guess I feel like the rain patterns here aren't like being formed here. They just get dragged from like other states, whether it's like from the Gulf of Mexico or like, fronts from like, I mean, it's kind of far, but like California. Who knows? Maybe clouds do survive for that long. Probably not, but definitely, definitely. But first off, not only are you graduating with a high school degree, but also a AA degree. So what is an AA degree, and what does your AA degree mainly deal with?
So it's an Associates of Arts degree, and I got it from our local college, our local state college. Honestly, normally it transfers students to college like as a junior in college. So a lot of students get it because college can be really expensive, and it's a cheaper option to get the credits that you need. It's more for like the miscellaneous credits. Like there's no specific majors associated with an Associates of Arts. It's more just for college credits and doing it as a more financially stable path, and then being able to transfer to maybe a higher level school with better opportunities, because a lot of schools' transfer rates are a lot better than their incoming rates. So that's mainly the purpose. Some people graduate with just an Associates of Arts degree because it can give you a background for a resume going into the job force. You technically are college educated. From my path going into Duke, I'm pretty sure they're not really going to accept many credits, maybe a couple, but because it's a private university, not really. Personally, for me, I just did it for like time back to my injury. Never thinking you're going to be able to go to school again kind of gives you a newfound appreciation for school. Like, originally I was just like, oh, like I hate homework, like whatever, I'll do my classes. But now I'm more focused on like, wow, a lot of people around the world dream of the educational opportunities that we have been given. I'm going to try and use every opportunity that I've been given. So I was given the opportunity to dual enroll and get a college degree as well. So I wanted to go and just basically use the max of my resources that I was given. And I did. I learned a lot. Like, it wasn't the best education in the world, of course. I wasn't being taught by world-renowned professors, but I didn't care. I was getting the college experience and then doing a lot of different kind of random things, if that makes sense. Like, I wasn't, sitting in on an English class that was more for high school. I was sitting in on an art class and being able to strive my passion more for art, or a creative writing class and learn from a published poet, and just kind of things that fueled more my creative side as well. It's just kind of learning different things like abnormal psychology, maybe something I'm not going to major in college, but it just kind of gave me a more background on different subject areas, which I always like to be more like well-rounded and kind of learn as much as I can. So I personally did it for that reason, but a lot of people do it for like the transfer reasons.
Definitely. My school also, like, I don't know if it's like the AA degree, but I know we do offer like dual enrollment classes like many other schools across the US. I took two this year. And obviously, like, credits, I took them in US history and audio and video production. I've always been a big like fan of like films, making films, writing films, watching films. I am a big film guy, so I wanted to take that class. And that's a lot of things. When you ask a teacher if you just take AP or dual, they are more than 110% gonna recommend the dual class, because with AP you have to pass the exam in order to get the credit, but with dual, you just pass the class, you get a D, and you still get the credit for college. So that's
exactly.
Yeah.
At my school, I don't know if you're familiar with IB or not.
Yeah.
But yeah,
well,
so that's what we have at my school.
Yeah, we don't have the IB program here. I have talked to people with the IB program at their school in Florida, actually.
So I went through the IB program and then the dual enrollment route, and a lot of teachers at our school suggest it's really like person to person based, like if you can handle the IB program or not, and if not, then go dual enrollment route.
Definitely. I've heard IB is like 10 times harder than AP too. Like, I've heard.
Yeah, it is. Sadly.
I don't think any of the schools in my area have a IB program. And low-key, I am thankful for that, because, AP classes, they are hard, but I took the hardest AP classes possible this year. I took AP Calc A, B, B, C. I took AP Chem, AP Physics 1, and AP Lang. Yeah, it's a deadly combo. I was talking to So, some kids they go to like Ivy League. Remember, these kids go to like Ivy Leagues. I was telling my schedule. They're like, dude, why are you doing this to your schedule? Like, remember these kids go to Ivy League schools, and I was like, if they're saying this, then I definitely push myself too hard. But you know,
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's no such thing as pushing yourself too hard, but you can also, for your mental stability, you can go a little
definitely,
bit less.
definitely. To be honest, it wasn't even that bad. Like, I felt more stressed out like sophomore year than I did junior year. Like,
That's good.
and that was like sophomore year, I was only stressed. Like, I took the easier APs. I still took five APs sophomore year, but I took easier APs. I took APES, AP Psych, AP World, AP Pre-Cal, and then AP Art. The only reason I was stressed out was because of AP Art History. Like, obviously, you are an artist, so you probably would enjoy art history, but
No, it's rough.
yeah, I am a man of every I am a big fan of the arts except for actual art. I can't draw for the life of me. Like, this painting right here is probably the best piece I've ever drawn in my life. I'll be so
That's
honest.
good.
I drew it in second grade. Yeah,
I
but
like it. There's a lot of
thank you.
creativity shining through it.
Thank you. I can't tell you what my second grade brain was thinking when I drew that. My mom just like pulled it out of the attic like one day, but definitely. Obviously, you are an artist, so I know like half of my class was either like you're trying to take AP classes or you're an artist, and the artists really, really enjoyed that class. They really enjoyed it a lot. I only took the class because my friend said it was gonna be super easy. By the end of it, like it's my only five ever, but at the end of it, I was about to pull his hair out. Like that's how stressful that class was. It really was. There's no, yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely, certain subjects can be really stressful if you don't have a specific passion for them, because then it's just kind of feels like a passion's being forced upon you that you don't like.
Like it wasn't even like it was the amount of work our teacher gave us. Like there would be like this we had this like black like journal, right? It was an empty journal. Basically, we had 250 pieces of art that we had to memorize. So we have to cut up the art piece, glue it into the book, and write like two or three like basically two or three paragraphs about that art piece. Think about that, two or three times 250. And then
Yeah,
it'd be
no
like
thanks.
exactly, it'd be like short deadlines too. So it was like really, really stressful.
Yeah,
Like
no thanks.
it was bad. And it's my only five. My teacher did prepare us like well, but I that class was bad for sure, for sure. I feel like you would enjoy it though, as an artist.
Probably. I mean, I'm not really good with the whole memorization thing, and like
Yeah,
when stuff gets handed to you in like heavy quantities and kind of takes away from your creativity, then I'm kind of like, and it kind of almost makes you
yeah,
hate the subject. I'm more of just like a free hand, like, okay, let me draw.
definitely.
Like, just give me a blank sheet of paper and I'll create something for you.
Definitely. But like the thing is like this, not only do we learn about like the art piece, but we also learn art styles with it too. So like I feel like you would be able to like, you know, connect back to those. That's what a lot of the artists in my class did. They were able to connect back to it. And these artists in my class, they're like award winning, like they've won awards in my city, artists. So they're able to connect back to it. And obviously you have won awards for your art too, so you probably I really feel like what's one word? Like COM and then something. Compazzo? Something like that. I don't know. It was a
Composite?
no, not composite. It was I don't remember. It was 2 years ago. I try to forget everything. I still see an art piece. Like one of my friends, he was super into art history. He has a favorite art piece. Like he has a favorite art piece. I forgot what the name of it was. It was one of the art pieces we learned. It was like a Japanese, like the Japanese
Yeah.
wave. Yeah, that's his favorite art piece. So some people are really into that kind of stuff, and he's also an artist too. So henceforth, you know,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I'd say I'm a history kind of guy too, but that class was stressful. But thankfully, it wasn't the IB route because
Yeah.
I think, well, obviously, you obviously, like you said, you found a new passion for school after not even thinking that you'd be able to hop back into school. So, that leads me to a question. Graduating high school, with this new found love for school and new bond for school, How was like graduating high school for you? Did you like feel any like emotions going through any of it or?
Um, I definitely felt very proud because it was something I never thought I was going to be able to do. Going, I was salutatorian in my class, so I was able to give a speech at our graduation, and I graduated from a very big high school, so my graduating class was over 600 kids. And so our graduation was at a convention center, and so I was able to tell my story to a room of almost 10,000 people. And so I felt very, like, I don't want to say inspired because like I felt very happy that I was able to inspire others because I had people come to me after and tell me that my story was very inspiring to them and that my speech kind of instilled a sense of hope in them and just kind of like a sense of passion, which was always a 4 year long dream I had, was that because I had to go through what I went through, I want to be able to share that with others and instill a sense of, just passion, um, and hope. And being able to do that just kind of made me really excited and happy, and of course a little sad that I was leaving all my friends that I made and some of these people I'd been through since kindergarten, going through all this stuff. I just had such great bonds with people, and a lot of them are going to Florida colleges together, and I'm the only one I know going up to Duke for academics. And so I was really sad that I was leaving all them behind, and just all the different connections that I made with the faculty, the staff, my teachers, learning from all these amazing educators. I really didn't want to stop learning from them because I really learned so much. I'm so definitely sad for that aspect, and just really excited for knowing that I was being done and able to move on with the next aspect of my life. Because I just like I yes, I'm sad that it's over, but I'm just happy that it happened. Like I can't sit here and cry that I'm leaving because I know that I made so many good memories and that I'm gonna go on and be able to have access to do amazing things. So yeah, definitely a mix of emotions for sure.
I mean, that would be for anybody, that feeling of, oh, I'm done with high school. I'm done with school in general. But then it's like, I'm done with school. Like, this is something every summer. It's like, oh, it's summertime. But now summertime, it's like, this is my last actual summer before, college and like, school. I'm done. I'm done with school, which is, as a rising senior, that's what I'm really scared of, too. But, senior year for all of y'all, is for everyone. It is a definitely an emotional and a ride in general, and take the best of what you got for sure, for sure. But you've had volleyball, but you were also a varsity golf captain along with being a founder. So how do you believe like these sports have shaped you as a person?
So varsity golf was very short lived. Basically, golf was one of the only sports that I was cleared to play for, and I wanted to get that aspect of being on a team back, and just being surrounded by others who are driven by the same passion that I was. And I realized very quickly that golf was not for me because it's a very individual sport and it's a large time restraint. And I just knew that my time could be better allocated other places. Like I love going golfing on Sundays, love the sport of golf, but just kind of being out there. We were a team, but we were all on individual holes at different times, and it just kind of felt very lonely, like an individual sport. And I was like, okay, then I'm gonna spend my time elsewhere. But growing up in sports, I've probably played over 12 different sports and surrounded by a mom, a dad, a brother who is very sports focused as well. I think it's definitely given me a lot of different skills. I'm definitely focusing on hard work and like putting in effort to see results for sure, because I never grew up like really academically smart. Like I'm the kind of person who has to like study hours and hours before a test. You can't just tell me something, I get it, and I go back. So I think sports kind of gave me that hard work and determination mindset, like how I had to train for a while to move up in the ranks on a team. Kind of the same thing carried over into academics, and just the teamship and team bonding and all those different things. Just kind of putting a whole bunch of random people together to create a family. I feel like I've carried over into a lot of my different organizations, and putting a lot of different people who strive for a same passion or a similar goal, and kind of creating a family out of that, if that makes sense.
Definitely, definitely. Not every sport can be for everybody, but the fact that you did give a shot and tried a new sport just to get that feeling back, commendable, commendable. But not only are you a very, 12 sports is wild. Like I begged my parents to let me play basketball, and they finally let me in fifth grade. And like for rec, I've been a big fan of basketball since like third grade, but they let me play rec fifth. And I've always loved the sport, but I was never the best athlete. That all went to my little brother. He is a multiple sport guy, so definitely, definitely. Not only are you a sports star, you are a founder, but you, like we have mentioned, you are an artist yourself, an award-winning artist, may I add. So, where do you usually get your inspiration for the pieces that you draw, and what is either your favorite piece that you've ever seen or learned about, or your favorite piece that you've ever drawn?
Um, Normally no shocker, I derive my inspiration from nature. I have an eidetic memory, so I do a lot of my art based on photography. So I'll take a photo of something and then I'll kind of try and capture it through art just to be able to capture it through a different medium. So just whatever photos I have available or whatever my environment is around me, I try to capture. Um, and my favorite piece, I really love Monet's water lilies and just the whole imperialism timeline of art because it's very like, I don't like when I'm drawing, my favorite medium is just pencil to paper, no colors, no nothing, just being able to shade and all the different stuff like that. But when it comes to painting, I'm definitely a very big oil painter, and I like how the colors blend together, but they also don't. There's texture to the piece so that when you look up really close and if you look at different angles, you can see the specific colors laying on top of each other and it's not just all one flat surface. It has some volume to it as well. And you can picture the landscape, but it doesn't look like a photo was taken. You can get that creative aspect that really drives through showing you that it's art.
Definitely, definitely. When you said Monet, the art history in me jumped because Claude Monet, that was one of the artists we learned. Here, let me actually, because I remember, it's like once I hear the name, I have to I have to know what it is. This one, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yes. Water lilies, I have seen that before. My calc teacher, she would have like multiple different like art pieces, hung up on her wall. And I believe this is the one you're talking about.
With the bridge, yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
yeah.
She did have this one hung up too. I never knew it was by Claude Monet. Should have probably asked because she had a lot of art pieces, not like
Yeah.
art pieces, but like, like pictures hung up.
Yeah, it's a very basic thing, but I love it. And then when it doesn't come to like physical like art mediums, like the basics, I love Jahuli's glass blowing. He creates a lot of different intricate structures through blowing of glass, which I think is always so cool when I'm watching people blow glass and like I don't think I'd be able to ever do it, but like watching the process and then how it turns out in the end. Because when you think glass, there's like, oh, like a window, a cup, whatever, the really basic things, but turning it into a specific art piece. And I feel like the fragility of it all just adds like another crazy aspect to it that just kind of all blends together and I just love.
I didn't know blowing glass was a thing. Low key, that'd be a nice hobby to learn too.
Yeah, look up Chihuly. He has some amazing pieces.
Definitely, definitely. I'll check that afterwards for sure. But like you did mention earlier with the art, like you said, you have a photographic memory of sorts. Yes, so, like the thing is with like the Claude Monet painting, you can tell it is like, you can't tell that you can tell it's not a photography piece, but because it has a little bit of aspect, that artistic aspect to it, which is what you did say. And that definitely, because if you draw exactly like like a photography picture, what is the difference between photography and the art? Like, let's be so honest.
Exactly. It
Definitely.
doesn't add that sense of like creativity in there. It's just like a
Exactly.
replication and like any but like just print out the photo at that point.
Exactly, exactly. I can always appreciate a good artist, especially knowing how hard it is to, draw. It's always nice to see, because like I said, I have indulged in every form of art, like whether it's say I am a vocalist, I have learned how to play. I've been trying to learn how to play piano. It's not going very well. I've played multiple instruments. I'm a filmmaker. I do graphic design. I've tried everything but, actual.
You need to try it for sure. But everything you said is extremely impressive. Good
Thank you.
job.
Thank you. Thank you. They're just like side hobbies that, obviously like you have your hobbies as well. It's just like side hobbies for everybody. But, I really, really wish I could be an artist because art is truly inspiring and truly impressive, especially after seeing all the art pieces in art history itself too. Art does tell a massive, massive story.
I like the connection that it provides to people. Like a lot of my art, I don't keep. I give it to people and allow others to um, value the art as well. Like probably my favorite piece that I've ever created was a rose, and I gave it to my grandma because my dad drew a rose when he was, I think, 16 years old, and that's where my name came from, was the drawing that he did and just the special connection that he had for it. So I didn't recreate his piece exactly. I kind of like did my own thing because I only worked in black and white medium, and being able to give that to my grandmother and just knowing the different background and effect that it had on her, being so different from just a random stand buyer. They're just looking at it and be like, oh wow, look, the beautiful drawing, that's great, but the background that my grandma knows to it. And I think a lot of different people have a lot of different connections to art. That's something that doesn't really shine through because it's just lines on a piece of paper at the end of the day, but it can tell such deeper meanings. And there's a lot of things and a lot of different famous painters paintings and works that like they did specific things for specific reasons, but you would never know unless they told you. Or the
Exactly.
different analyzation that goes into all of it, it's so deep. It kind of like music is the same way for a lot of different things, but nothing is verbally said or expressed. It's all based on interpretation, which I think adds just such a cool aspect to art.
Definitely, definitely. No, I can, especially with like the sentimental value, that, having that connection to past, present, or future. Like you said, there have been multiple artists. Like I know one off the top of my head is like Pablo Picasso and like Guernica. That was one piece that we learned about in art history. It's all jogging back, and I don't feel about it.
I'm sorry, is this PTSD for you?
It's not PTSD. It's like bittersweet, I say, because I did get my only five from art history. God knows how, because everyone knew I sucked at that stuff. Like I did not do well in the MCQ part. The FRQ, I think I just cooked, because but it's bittersweet to like remember all of this. Now, especially with that class, I can have a more profound appreciation for artists like yourself and all that too. And especially artists like yourself that are winning awards for this stuff. So, are the awards that you've won like local awards, state level awards, or like, scholastic awards?
Yeah, so I think the biggest award I've won was Scholastic, and it was county level. I don't know if by y'all you have like the Crime Stoppers posters in your classrooms. I don't know if that's just a Florida thing or what. But basically, there are these posters that are in our classroom that focus on Crime Stoppers message, see it, say it, stop it. And every year they do a contest through K through 12 where you can enter in a drawing to just create a poster that goes in every single classroom of elementary, middle, and high school of every single school throughout the entire county. So I won that. So my art was displayed in every classroom, every school throughout our entire county. And then it was a pretty decent sized check, and they gave me a bike too.
Bike,
So yeah, like a just like a normal bicycle.
That's nice. That is nice.
Yeah, and then it was I don't remember how much it was, but it was somewhere in the thousands for the prize as well. And then the rest, all the other things I've won, I've just been super local, just like fairs that I've entered into, or things that I entered. A lot of it was throughout elementary school because sadly I don't have as much time as I would like to have for art, just because my time has to be allocated elsewhere.
Yes.
So in elementary school, I was very focused on like doing my art contests, and so a lot of those were just, I think I won one state level one, but other than that, just super local.
Definitely, definitely. Awards, like I said, awards are awards. No, for sure. Is there a reason why you only deal with a black and white medium rather than a color medium?
No, mostly because I'm lazy and I don't like sitting there and trying to test out every single color.
That's good. That's good.
and just being able to have one pencil in my hand throughout all of it. I do love oils and acrylics when I'm painting, but colored pencils, it just, I don't know, they always kind of make me mad because I have to do so many different layers. Just with color grading, like if I look at something and it's green, well, really you have to start out with a blue background, then add a little bit of yellow,
Yeah.
and then go over with your green. And there's just a lot of things behind it, and I think I'm just too lazy to do all of it,
No,
honestly.
that's no, that's fair. That's fair. Laziness can get the best of us, but I mean, you're still creating beautiful art at the end of the day. So, I mean, art is art. So, even with, no color or not. And black and white, it also takes a lot of time too. Shading is truly, truly hard to do. I'll be so honest. It is really hard to do, for sure.
Yes, definitely. And like trying to find the different aspects of where the light hits, and like you still are technically using different colors with how hard you're putting down your pencil with creating the really darker lines and the highlights and taking away and erasing, and then coming in with your Q-tip and just adding the shaded areas in the background. So there's definitely still a lot that goes into it, but I just always find it I can get more deeply involved into my art when I'm not constantly switching my tool, if that makes sense.
They definitely, like I said, art is art, and you're creating beautiful art at the end of the day, which is, giving back to the world through peacefulness and, visual pleasing. Yeah, pleasing, definitely. So with all of these, amazing accomplishments that you have accomplished and your story, you were awarded the 2025 Coca-Cola Scholarship. So how was that whole process for you, and how was that experience, traveling down, technically traveling up to, yeah, traveling up to back home to Atlanta, Georgia, and, being added to a crazy network of people.
Yeah, it was definitely one of the greatest moments of my life. Honestly, going into it, I had no idea what it was. I just entered it because, I was just Googling what are high scholarships. And I saw one that said $20,000, and I was like, damn, that's a lot of money. Like, and I just applied day of that it was due. And then I got the email that it was the next round. I was like, round, so what is this? I was like, scholarships just one and done. I was so confused. And then I started doing more research and figuring out what it was. And I was like, oh my God, this is like a national award of like, this is actually a really big deal. So then I actually started to get like excited for it, and I would like wait for the emails and like try and look more into it. Never did I think I was going to make it to the final round because I had read the bios of the 2024 scholars, and I was like, oh my God, these people are literally insane. Like, they're not people. What do you mean you just cured cancer? What do you mean you just built a middle school in Africa? Like, whoa, like, okay, that's definitely not me. And I just felt very like imposter syndrome, and I just kind of like gave up, if that makes sense. Um, because I was like, I'm not making any global effect. I'm not affecting thousands and thousands of people. I was like, I just have my little things. And then when I won, I was like, damn, y'all sure? Like, I might need to do a recount. Just kind of talking to a lot of the other scholars, they felt the same way, even though a lot of them didn't really have the imposter syndrome, like, because I was listening to their things and I was like, okay, shut up. You just created legislation that affects your entire state. And like, I built a couple gardens, like, okay. But then I kind of started thinking about it and talking to others and just seeing the different perceptions and just kind of realizing that scale doesn't matter. Impact is impact. So don't feel the imposter syndrome, and just realizing like a lot of people say like our generation is completely cooked, and like, we're just like all just brain rot and our world is doomed basically. And just hearing all the different people and how inspired they are, we're just kind of like all bouncing back off of each other, and just hearing each other's stories of like everybody has a story of like why they do what they do. No one just randomly woke up one day and was like, okay, I'm just going to put all of my work into political science. Like, they got there because something in their life that they wanted to change, and then they tried to create that change, and then they realized they wanted to create more change and affect others. It's just this constant like domino effect that everybody has such different stories. And that was definitely my favorite part of the weekend. Like, learning the different leadership development stuff was amazing, and doing all the different things, having a giant party, meeting sponsors, it was all amazing. But honestly, just sitting down and having the deep talks with these people that I didn't know 2 days ago, and I'm getting down into their background, like, okay, what's the hardest thing that you've ever had to go through in life? And just I wish I was able to hear all 149 stories. And I still reach out to some of them on Instagram and be like, hey, sorry, we didn't really get to connect during the weekend, but like, tell me more about what you do. We're just reading our bios throughout. I'm like, this is just such an amazing group of people, and I'm so honored to be connected to them. And some of them I'm still great friends with, and I call them every night. We're best friends now. It wasn't even just like a networking thing where like people were coming up to me and asking me like, hey, what's your LinkedIn? And I'm like, what's LinkedIn? And like, I was so imposter. It was crazy. And like some people did just use it like straight networking, like that's fine, good for them. But just building like actual connections with people who have similar, like not even just passions of like there weren't really many people who are environmentally focused, that's fine. But just passions of like I want to start from nothing and make as much impact on the world as I can. And just hearing what they do and then associating that into what you do and just being able to bounce off of each other was just really so amazing. And I'm so honored to have been chosen for sure.
Definitely, definitely. Like you said, you didn't even have an idea what it was, but obviously now you might have made the realization that you were one that was chosen with a 0.15% chance. That is a crazy, crazy. That's better than any college percentage. Like, that's lower than any college percentage. And, obviously the work that you have done truly, truly does show why you deserve it. And like you said, the fact that you were able to take Coca-Cola and, use it more as a bonding event. Because I know, like, when it comes to, like, this kind of stuff, you throw 150 of the nation's top high schoolers into one room, it's going to feel like a networking event. And that's what, and like a lot of people like yourself have told me throughout this, a common theme is imposter syndrome. A lot of people have felt that even if they've passed legislation bills or, started nonprofits that go feed kids in Africa or something like that, they have still felt imposter syndrome. They didn't feel like they belonged there amongst everybody else. But with everything that y'all have done and the work that y'all have, like you said, impact is impact at the end of the day. So it doesn't really matter if it's like on a big scale, small scale. You are doing what you're passionate for and you're doing it for a reason. So yeah.
Exactly. It was kind of crazy during the weekend. One of the exercises that they had us do was write down on a piece of paper one of the, I don't remember exactly, but it was like one of the hardest feelings that you're feeling right now, or like something, a secret that you wouldn't share with anybody about how you're feeling right now. And almost every single person said, like, I'm not doing enough. And hearing that in a room full of 149 other people who are like the top leaders in the nation feel like they're not doing enough, it's like, okay, like, wait, like, let's sit, let's think about it, like, let's be proud of what we've done. Like, yes, let's strive to do more and create bigger impact, but let's also be proud of what we've already accomplished. Like, we've all done really amazing things. And I think that kind of just looks over everybody's head because they're all so focused on the future and I need to do more. I haven't done enough. Like, I'm not the president of the United States. Not everybody knows my name. Like, I need to do more, but they don't step back and look like what they've done. And it's like that kind of took me into like looking back at like my personal story and what I've done and just kind of being more like proud of myself, because I think a lot of people don't do that a lot, and I think it impacts your future work as well. If you don't stop, take a breath and be like, okay, what I've done is great. Yes, I'm going to strive and do more. Never want to stop, but like not pushing yourself so much because you think you need to do more, but because you want to do more. I feel like there's such a big difference that a lot of us kind of learned throughout that weekend. Like, okay, wait, we all have imposter syndrome, so like it's okay, and like we're not imposters then. If we all feel the same way, like we're just kids. Like we're just kids. We're just a group of people who are passionate and who have worked hard, and like what we've done is great, and we need to just honor and appreciate that, honestly.
Definitely, definitely. No, even I feel like I am like reading y'all's like 2000, the 2025 and then 2024. I've been following the Coke Scholars for a good, I just like sit down, read everything y'all done, and then feel like I'm not doing enough in my own community, which is always, it's not a bad thing. Like, it might sound like a bad thing, but it's not a bad thing because then that pushes you to want to do more. You know, Maybe if I didn't read about someone doing something crazy, then I wouldn't have started, an initiative myself, and it betters the community at the end of the day. So even if so, like, it's still crazy.
Exactly. We all just kind of use it as like a sense of motivation for each other. And I think
Exactly.
that was a good way that we all, it kind of took us a second to realize it. But I know definitely going into the weekend, I was terrified because reading the bios from last year, I was like, what am I going to
But
be able to talk to these
yeah,
people about? Like, this is insane. But
yeah,
th- eventually we just kind of realized like, we're all people. Like, we didn't just sit there and talk about our accomplishments, where you're going to school, what are you doing, what have you done? Like, we just sat there and talked about like, oh my god, can you believe that guy said that to me at one point, and just like had normal conversations like people, because like
no,
we
definitely.
like the bios made it seem like they weren't people and had no personalities and were just like full volunteer 100% all the time. But like in the end, like we were all the same way. Like we were all just people, and we were just all excited to be there and just talking about the most random things, even if it didn't have to do with like academic stuff or like low-key some things we probably shouldn't have said and like shouldn't have been connecting about. Sorry, Coke. But like those kind of connections create deeper human connections, if that makes sense.
No, 100%. Going into, this podcast, reaching out to all of y'all, I was scared that, reading those bios, I was scared that y'all were people that didn't have like personalities. It would be hard to like converse with. Like I was expecting like, 20, 30 minutes from each and every single person. But, going to this, I've had very well conversations. I've just gone like even on recording, I've gone on just random spurs about something. Like we just spent like 15, 20 minutes just talking about art.
Yeah,
Exactly. I
exactly.
had conversations with people about basketball and stuff that they're passionate about too. Like that's what one thing my dad was telling me. He listens to the podcast too, and he's like, you're able to take all these things that you've done in your life and you're able to connect them with people and talk to them about it. And because y'all aren't just like, people volunteering 24/7, trying to build up that college resume. Y'all are still high schoolers at the end of the day.
Yeah, I was just on TikTok for like 3 hours before this. Like, I sit in bed rot way too much.
I definitely understand that too. I'm supposed to be leaving for a trip tomorrow. I spent the last 2 hours sitting in my bed watching TikTok. Like I packed.
Exactly.
Yeah, I packed for like 10 minutes. Like I have my suit sitting there. I have state officer training tomorrow for FBLA. I have my
Oh yeah, congrats.
thank you, thank you. I have my suit sitting right there. I have a bag half full. Was supposed to go look and do my laundry. I sat in bed and watched TikTok for 2 hours, which is
Exactly.
it's the normal.
And there's nothing wrong with that at
Yeah,
all. And like,
definitely.
it's crazy the expectations that like we create for other people based off hearing their backgrounds. But like, and then realizing the truth behind the people. Like, I feel like that's what I've kind of learned about like getting close with the Coke Scholars. I'm like, okay, you guys are like way too active on TikTok, and like you guys, like, you don't always speak in like the highest academic standard, but you're still going out there and making change. And I feel like that creates just like such a, not a lower level of expectations for ourselves, but it's not just like I have to be perfect 100% of the time. Like, I'm okay to be like a kid too, and like it's fine to just have diversity and like, just do normal things, and that's fine. I don't need to be out in the community 100% of the time giving 100% effort. Just like when you do go, give your effort, try and make a difference, but be a kid too. Like,
Exactly. Live the youth that, you can't get back. Time flies and you have to, you only a kid once. Live it as much as you can. 100%, 100%. But, y'all were Coke Scholars for a reason with all the work that y'all have done. Like you said, we are still kids at the end of the day. But why do you personally believe you were awarded the Coke Scholarship?
I think it was because they saw that my passions shone through what I did. They saw that I am going into something environmentally focused. I've been environmentally focused my entire life, even since I was a little girl. I wrote about how in first grade, when I was asked, like, if you were president, what would you do? I talked about how I would stop the oil companies from spilling pollution into the ocean. My spelling was horrible at the time, still is. But just kind of seeing that lifelong passion shine through what I did. I'm not just doing stuff to build my resume, I'm doing stuff because I want to do it. And then I definitely think they like the aspect of a comeback story for sure, because some people in life are just handed everything and they don't really have to work for everything. And I think a big part of Coke Scholars is seeing that they're people too. Like, they're not just people who are trying to do everything on this planet to be able to get a big resume and get a nice title like a Coke Scholar. That's not what they did this stuff for. They did this stuff because they wanted to make an impact, because they wanted to see a difference in the world, because they wanted to become a leader, and just the different leadership qualities. Like, talking to the people, one of the questions we were asked was like, if Coke Scholars were given an extra hour every day, what would you do with it? Some people straight up just said sleep. Like, I would just sleep more. Like, they don't need people who are giving 100% effort 100% of the time and like not being a person. Like, they want well-rounded people, and that doesn't just come into the balance of like social life, academic stuff, just like having a personality as well. And I think that's something that kind of shone through meeting the other people, and I think that's probably part of the reason why I was chosen, but I honestly have no idea. I'm still guessing why they chose me.
That's another key takeaway a lot of people have been saying. Passion is what makes work feel, fun. If you don't have passion, then work feels like actual work. But with passion, work is something you just love to do on the daily basis. And the fact that you are going into, a field that you actually enjoy, truly does say a lot about you and, what you are passionate about, in general. Definitely. But to round out this episode, the Voice for You podcast is about empowering. The tagline is to empower the leaders of today and tomorrow. So what is some advice that you can give to like either me or any audience members or anyone in general that is trying to be a leader in their own community and make a change for the better?
Advice I would give is, don't look at the others' work around you and use that as something that you need to compete against, more as something that you can work with. Don't have so overly high expectations for yourself that you forget no matter how big of an impact you're making, it's still an impact. Be happy with what you've done, always be future-ended and strive for more. Create a balance in your life, and just like you said, like, work towards, do something that you're passionate about. Don't just do something because it's going to give you good finances or look good on your resume. The biggest impact that people have is because they're truly trying to make a difference. And I really believe that only shines through stuff with passions. And if you don't think that you have a passion, then go out there and experience more. Talk to more people, meet other people. I promise you're passionate about something, you just haven't found it yet. And that's okay. You don't need to know all of your passions immediately right now. You're still a kid, you still have plenty of time. You might not find your passions until you're 50, and that's totally fine. Just don't set overly high expectations for yourself and think that you need to be the best person on this planet. As long as you're helping somebody, even if it's just yourself, then that is plenty enough. And I guarantee you that someone out there is proud of you.
Definitely. And you don't have to have like one passion in just one field. Like, I've talked to multiple people, they have passions in multiple different fields. They're able to combine their passions into a business or something that truly, takes the best out of all the worlds that they want to have taken out of.
Exactly.
So yeah, definitely. Passion can take you very, very far in life, for sure. Definitely. Well, thank you so much, Rose, for hopping on the podcast today. It really means a lot to me, sharing your words of wisdom and, educating everybody on what you have done and your passions, your work, and, just giving advice to the audience members and myself included.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm extremely honored to be here. Thank you for doing this for all the other scholars and just all the different leaders of tomorrow. And I hope you're learning stuff as well. And I really hope you apply to be a Coke Scholar and come to Duke with me.
Definitely. Like I said, I'm betting on this at this point. Like, I really hope so. And obviously Coke Scholars too, after talking to all of y'all and seeing, how passionate and how real of people y'all actually are, to join and network with all 149 of y'all, especially the people that I have talked to, would truly be an honor on my part. Like, I'm praying on it at this point. Like,
and we'd be honored to have you. It means so much to like be able to share these other parts of us and not just words on a bio that makes us look really scary, but like showing other people that like we're literally just completely normal people as well. And like, if you're out there, like I already said, like, being a normal person is completely fine, and seeing this aspect, I think, can provide a lot of just reassurance to people that what they're doing is enough.
Definitely, definitely. It's always nice to see that even with the amount of work that you put in, you can still be a kid at the end of the day, live in the moment. And, people like you and the rest of the Coke Scholars are truly, truly big inspirations and, perfect people to highlight with what the podcast, strives to do. But once again, thank you so much. And
Thank you.
yeah, and for the audience, thank you so much for watching till the very end. Remember to follow the Voice for You podcast on Spotify, Instagram, and YouTube. And once again, I'm your host, Jeshwant Vana. Thank you so much, Rose, for hopping on the podcast, and we will see y'all next time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.